Oscar Bevis, IFL TV MTK Global, delighted to be joined by Miss Lisa Whiteside. How are we?
I'm good, thank you. Cheers, yeah, good.
Lots to talk about today. Have to start with a little congratulations. A month or so late, but you had a Christmas baby.
Did indeed, and it was very good timing that he was born on Boxing Day. So
Was it Boxing Day?
Yeah, so that's pretty mad, isn't that? Everybody jumped on it. It was like, can you believe that he was born on Boxing Day? So yeah, it was quite nice.
That is good. But what's harder, getting in the ring or looking after a newborn?
Oh, it's yeah, I'd say look after a newborn. It's very testing times and quite tiring to say the least. So
That's such a boxer's mentality because like most people would say, I'd rather do that than get punched in the face. But everyone who has a kid in boxing, you ask them, and they're like, oh no, it's much harder looking after a kid. Trust me.
It's ace, I love it.
And as if that weren't enough, having a newborn, you contracted COVID around the same time as well.
Yeah, to be fair, from the start, basically, my labour probably lasted about 60 odd hours, and that ended up being quite dangerous. We nearly lost the little boy, and then we nearly lost me. So yeah, it was quite scary times. My poor husband went through the mill, obviously so petrified. I think at one point I thought, "No, I'm not going to last this." So I was giving my last words to my husband, telling him I loved him, look after Jensen, passing messages on to my family. But an hour and a half later, got through it, had our little man, and yeah, he's the most precious thing in the world to us now. So scary times. And then obviously to then add to it, like about a week or so later, we then tested positive for COVID. So me, my husband and baby all tested positive for COVID. Had mild symptoms. Baby, obviously, it was just petrifying. I was watching every movement, so was my husband, because you're thinking, you know, it's already nerve-wracking having a newborn, isn't it? But to then have a newborn with COVID, you're looking for signs of anything that you should be concerned about. So, yeah, sleepless nights. And then just to finally top it off, my mum contracted COVID and ended up in hospital. She was waiting now, can you believe it? Ended up waiting for a bed in intensive care. We had to send her off to hospital in an ambulance, and we wasn't allowed to go with her, which was just horrific. So told my mum I loved her and didn't know if I would see her again. So yeah, it's been, you know, it's supposed to be like glorious times having a newborn, isn't it? But it's been very, very tough times. But yeah, it's got us through. My mum's home now, very weak, but the motivation she has is my little boy. And I tell her, you know, Mum, you're a fighter, so now it's time for me to fight again. And my boxing has always pushed me and my family through some tough times. So here's the next one to hit us, and now it's time to go and get that world title for sure.
I mean, you can't compare the two. Like, I speak to so many boxers who've said during this time they're out of the loop of, because it is almost like its own bubble when you're a boxer, camp, waiting for a date, fight, ticking over, repeat. And they've realised a lot about their life as, I don't know if I can word it this way, a normal person. Perhaps, have you found that at all? I mean, I know this is different circumstance because of what you've been through, but as life, perhaps even before that, as a normal person, have you just learned a lot about yourself?
Yeah, because obviously I was on Great Britain's squad, wasn't I, on GB boxing team for 6-7 years, and you're completely out the loop of being a normal person, because I'd travel up to Sheffield, live there Monday to Thursday. I'd travel out the country probably 20 weeks out of the year to different tournaments, different training camps. So to now then, yeah, it's like just being home, and yeah, it's just peculiar. So it's a strange thing not to, like say, not be in training, not to be in camp and pursue it. But in a way, I've quite enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the family time. I've enjoyed the time with my husband and preparing for having a newborn. So tough times, obviously, with COVID, and everybody's obviously going through it. But I've also cherished my time with my family.
Yeah, and I don't want to seem like I don't know, not prying here, so feel free to tell me where to stick it. But after all this, if you had to go back to training, I imagine even through just having the baby, regardless of the COVID as well, it will make training harder. Is it going to be tough to sort of integrate back into that now, like physically?
Yeah, obviously, you've got to play it safe and things like that. But I've been back training now, taking it lightly. Back in last week, this week, pretty much going for it quite well. Really enjoying it, and I felt absolutely brilliant, especially with what I had to go through with regards to labour. Obviously, I'm not going to go into details, but you would expect the recovery to be even more so. But the one thing that the like anaesthetist and the surgeon said was, oh, we don't have struggles with athletes because they said my core was so strong, my muscles in my abs were so strong, so they had issues. So I was like, oh wow. So to be fair, I think because I trained quite close up to to obviously me giving birth, then my recovery has been quite speedy, and I feel 100%, and I can't say I feel weaker. I actually feel stronger. I did a 3-mile run the other day. My little nephew came along with me on his bike, and I'm going, oh, I'll probably be stopping loads. I've just had a baby, blah, blah, blah. Did the 3 miles non-stop, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm like, oh, I'm liking this. And they do say, don't they? Like, I remember Jessica Ennis saying, I spoke to Jess after she had a baby, because obviously she trained at Sheffield the same. And she felt in better condition after having a child, because I think they say about your heart and your blood flow, it's all like a lot stronger and a lot better after having a child. So yeah, I'm coming back stronger, if anything.
That's madness. I mean, there is a compliment in there somewhere when they say that they had problems because your abs were too strong. Like, there is a compliment in there. But I don't know, that's just mental. Yeah. So the career path, just a quick little run through. You made your debut at Stevenage, had a nice active end to 2019, and then obviously, like I said, bang, world falls apart pretty much. Do you feel like you almost have to start again as a pro now, or because of your experience before, you not really, or do you feel like it will be starting again as a pro?
No, not at all. It's like I don't really feel like I've had that much time out. It was prior to COVID. I made the decision. I was going for, I think it was like a WBC international title at the end of 2019. But unfortunately, because of my weight making regime for so many years on GB at 51 kilos at flyweight, it actually hampered me trying for a family. And we went to see specialists and stuff, and they basically said it was down to my weight making, and a lot of elite athlete females have these issues. So I had to make that decision. And to be fair, as soon as I found that out, I kind of fell out of the love with it, because I thought, this is going to stop me having a family with my husband. So obviously spoke to my managers, Sam and Adam, and it's been so supportive. And I just said to them, I said, I'm going to have to take a back step here. And they were just like, no worries, Lise, obviously see how things go. If you want to return, we'll always be there. And I just didn't even know if I did want to. And then obviously got some support from specialists and things like that. Yep, fell pregnant in COVID, so the lockdown obviously helped. And then once we got through the tough time, the scary time of getting to 20 weeks and knowing everything was okay, then I was like, wow, I want to get back in that ring. I've got my little man on the way, and I'm already dying to get training and dying to do it for him more than anything now. So no, it's it's made it absolutely 10 times more. I feel even more hungry for it now. So I've gone back training this week with Mick, and Mick's like, well, the good thing is, Lise, like muscle memory, we can tweak little things now and work on things. So yeah, this week's just been a tech week, but it's been absolutely awesome. And my strength's still there. Obviously we're going to bring it back even stronger now, because I'm not having to deplete myself down to flyweight. So I can't wait to get going.
I love that you said it sort of when you were 20 weeks in, when you realised you wanted to get back in. Like, obviously, we all visualise our goals. Like, I would sit there and think, cool, if I ever got to interview Floyd Mayweather, what would I say? Like, do you sit there and think, if I could have a world title belt, one arm, a little boy in the other, and then even think, when I'm older, I can take him on the pads? Do you visualise all that sort of stuff now?
Yeah, I've definitely seen that picture with him, because obviously he's 6 weeks, coming up 6 weeks old, but if get that world title belt, it'll be a little bit bigger, smiley face. I can't, to envisage that picture. And just for the future, to be able to show that back to him. Obviously, I've got all my medals and everything from my amateur game and from the Commonwealths, from the World Championships. You know, I've got things like, me and my husband was only talking last night saying, oh gosh, yeah, I've got my boxing vest with Whiteside on the back. He'd be able to wear them when he's older. And it's just weird, isn't it? So it's just, your mind completely changes. You know, when people say, oh, you never feel like love like it, I was like, oh, whatever. And then he arrived, and me and my hubby are just absolutely smitten. So we'll do anything for him. And, you know, as much as obviously I want to achieve it, I want to achieve it for my son. So yeah, I can't wait.
Brilliant. You mentioned the medals, so I'm just going to sort of change the subject a little bit. Obviously, we know you've got heaps of amateur experience, I suppose, and perhaps unlike a lot of girls turning over recently, would you say you're in the category of being able to jump in to big fights because you know the game inside out? I know obviously pro, amateur different, but you know the game inside out. So would you say you can jump straight back in?
Yeah, I don't want any like warm-up fights. There's no point, and I've never wanted that. It's just unfortunate, like right at the beginning, it's like, oh, you've got to build this up, and there wasn't what there is now, you know, with what Eddie's doing, Eddie Hearn, and it's gone massive, hasn't it? And I just think, you know, some of the girls on there are girls that I know quite comfortably I can treat them as my warm-up fight, and that's not being disrespectful. You know, I utmost respect to all the females in the pro game, because you know, they've brought massive things for us. So, you know, I just want to get out there, and I don't want easy fights. I don't want, you know, I've seen a couple of the fights recently and you're thinking, oh, it doesn't look good on female boxing. But then saying that, the men do the same, don't they? They have the journeymen, and that's what they go through. But I just don't think it's required, and I'm quite happy to go in at the deep end, and I think I'll prevail every time.
Amen. That's exactly what fans want to hear, isn't it? Obviously, the landscape, like you said, has changed. If you were 18 again, do you think you'd be lured in by the bright lights of the pros?
Do you know what? It's strange, isn't it? At the moment, I think due to what's occurring, and the amateur games kind of died a death, hasn't it? Because of what's happening. There's a lot of young girls turning over, isn't there? I think the only scary thing for me is, having not got that experience, will they then get found out later in the game? But then on the flip side, the likes of Terry Harper, who's done absolutely fantastic. However, she did have an amateur background, as you know, not massive one, and not getting on to England and GB, but you don't have to do that. You know, talented boxer, and she's proven herself. However, she didn't just start off and go bang straight into world medals, the world titles, did she? She's built herself from the start. So I think females do need to, like males do. You look at most males who are at the top game in the pros. Joshua Buatsi, do you know what I mean? He's going to be a world champion, isn't he? But look at his pedigree as an amateur. Anthony Joshua, pedigree as an amateur. And I think, do you know what I mean? I think you've got to have that experience and build up. Enjoy it when you're young, do you know what I mean? Because I think pro boxing is a business, isn't it, more so than the sport, where amateur is more sport and there's no business involved because there's no money to be made, is there? So I think build up your experience and your background and then jump into the pro game.
Well, let's talk about a fight that you could have in the pro game. Well, I don't know. I don't really know. Like, a few people might have seen the exchange, should we call it, between you and Ebanie. It's all quite messy to follow because there was a couple of tweets and replies under different tweets, and I was trying to follow it, and there's sort of eyes everywhere. Can you just sort of give us a timeline of events, if you will?
Yeah, I might struggle, to be fair, because I don't ever go on Twitter. Right? So, and I went on and I just spoke to Sam and with regards to when am I going to get out for my first fight back. And I spoke to Mick, my coach, and he said, you know what, Lise, give us an 8-week camp from now and happy days. So we were looking at, what's coming up. And we thought, the April show, obviously Ball and Courtney are fighting, which is going to be my weight that I'm going to be boxing at. So I thought, that'd be awesome if I could get on that undercard. Obviously, I know there's the restrictions, isn't there, with COVID about how many bouts can be on there. So Sam was like, I don't know if it'll happen, Lise, but, you know, I'll speak to Eddie and we'll go from there. And then literally, I think honestly, I never go on Twitter and I seen her post, bear in mind, and this is no disrespect to Ebanie, but I don't even really know who she is. So I seen and that she'd put on, I knew that she was supposed to box Ball a bit back ago, I think, for the title, and it didn't occur, or Courtney, I don't know who it was. So saw that she said, I'd love to be on the undercard, whatever a post said. So I just thought, right, well, all right, well, I'll be your opponent. Happy days. I've got 8-9 weeks. Do you know what I mean? So it's a good show to be on, and what a better way as a debut to have as that, a debut of coming back, should I say. So yeah, I put on, obviously, you know, if you want an opponent, I'm here. Yeah, I did say if you dare. And I'm not that type of person. I never ever call anybody out or anything like that. People keep saying to me, you need to be more vocal. You need to be more vocal. So that's as far as I went, and then just put bring it on, Eddie and Sam Jones. And then it just, boom, it erupted. And I've never giggled so much in my life. Thing is, I just kind of left people to it then. And it was like, say to my husband, yeah, we've got another so many notifications, so many. I didn't even read half of it. I just kind of left it to it. But yeah, funny. And obviously the girl, Ebanie, who wanted a fight, then didn't respond, and then did respond with, I think at some point, I think it was something about she's dead down to earth and she'll give anybody an opportunity. I thought, hang on a minute, opportunity. You've had 4 fights in your whole life. You know, I've medalled world level, European, I've Commonwealth champion. I think you need to understand that boxing me would give you a better opportunity.
Do you feel disrespected?
No, I wouldn't say that. I never say it. I know it's the game, and I know she's all about, well, from what I've seen, she's all about social media and followings, and you know, I didn't even know until I got interviewed yesterday that she's not got any well, you might tell me differently, but I've been told she's not had any amateur background, and I'm not saying you have to have that. So then I was like, oh, what, she had white collar, or, you know, no, nothing. What was she beforehand? A weightlifter and then a ring girl. I was like, oh, right. And then you look at a record of who she's boxed, you're thinking, shit, you haven't got any experience. Where, yeah, you can look at mine 3 fights. My first debut was Danny Hodges, good girl from the UK, and I absolutely wobbled her. Legs went, gum shield came out 5 times. I don't know why the ref didn't stop it. Lovely girl, utmost respect. A coach came afterwards and said, I don't know, you know, how heavy was you going in there? And I was like, about 53 kilo. So they would, you know, I had that fight. I had a journeywoman the next one, and then my third one was against a Russian who, I think she'd been in with someone ranked in the top, I think 3 in the world, gone the whole distance. And I stopped her in the second round. So, and then she's now like making out as if she's something special. And I believe she called me small and weak. So I was like, really? I'm thinking, are you studying me? Because I'm not even the lady who interviewed me yesterday off Shadowboxing UK said to me, have you watched anything of her? And I went, no, I don't know anything about her. But I don't need to, because I'm quite happy to box anybody. So that, you know, I'm not there to shade away, you know, hide away from anybody. So she went, you need to watch it. It's appalling. And I'm just like, wow, how can she be so hyped up about herself? But I suppose that's the publicity side of it, the business side of it. But at that level, you're going to get shown up, aren't you? And if she's mandatory for either Courtney or Ball, happy days for them too, because that's a lovely first defense of your world title, isn't it? So I'm chuffed for them, and I hope they obviously destroy her. So, and I'm sure they will.
You did make it quite clear that you won't chase, not just her, you won't chase anyone either. Like,
no,
you're not
I don't.
no.
I don't need to. Like, as Sam's put out there, you know, I'll box anybody, and obviously I'll leave it to Sam and whoever, you know, he speaks to, Eddie, hopefully, with how amazing he's doing with everything. And, you know, if they turn around and say, right, you're boxing such a body, irrelevant of what they've done or achieved, you know, then bring it on and I'll box them. And I just worry that certain females may try and not box me, and I don't want that. Do you know what I mean? That's the frustrating thing about it, is that people can hide from you in the pro game, and you don't want that, do you? It's like, do you know what? Let's give a good exhibition for female boxing. You know, look at what Katie Taylor's done. Look at the Terry Harper and Tasha Jonas fight. You know, that kind of showed what pedigree amateur brings, because I think Tash was you know, she was put as too old, had a day, and then look at that fight. Phenomenal, wasn't it? And it showed experience over pure, you know, youth and hunger from Terry. So them two, it was just an awesome explosion of a fight, wasn't it? So, you know, I'm going to get the young girls coming through. There's a lot of young girls that were on GB that have now turned over and that are bantamweight, super bantam. And I'll never think, oh, I shouldn't box them, or I'll call them out and I'll disrespect them. I'm not that type of person. It's a sport to me, and I want to be sportsman or sportswoman like, but just be given the right opportunities.
Basically, do you need to make it so that it's unavoidable, the opportunity? So we can put managerially, perhaps Sam will go, let's get Lisa on the biggest platform. So then you are unavoidable. People will not be forced to fight you, but people will go, well, it is an opportunity I can't really turn down. Because it's easier to turn down an opportunity on a small ball show than an opportunity where you know you're going to be 3-4 fights down on a Sky Sports main event card.
Yeah, definitely. And I know Sam and Adam will do that for me. Awesome management team I have. So I'm just going to leave them to it. You know, Sam giggles at me because I'm like, right, Sam, when am I out there? And he's like, Lisa, you've just had a bloody baby. Just enjoy, baby. Relax, we'll get you out. And I'm like, yeah, but I want a date. And he's laughing his head off at me. But yeah, he's already in talks. And I know that, like, he doesn't want me to just have these small fights here and there. And he said to me, Lisa, you're not having a warm-up fight, you're going straight in there. And I went, Sam, you know that's what I want. And he's like, yep. So yeah, we'll be straight in there. Who knows, you know, you've got bantamweight and super bantamweight. So happy to do both, and just chase the dream, basically.
Picking this back up with Lisa Whiteside, I'm actually sorry for this, because you're lucky your husband is so good, because it's 9 o'clock at night and I'm sure you'd probably rather be cuddling the baby than talking to me. Yeah, you said it's basically about chasing the dream. It's not chasing who's got the belt, it's chasing the belts. So whether it be Bull, Courtney, Ebanie, Bridges, who knows, it's about chasing the glory feud.
Yeah, exactly. So I just hope that, you know, whoever gets that world title, and you know, any other future world title holders at bantam, super bantam, want to fight the best to prove that they are the best. So, you know, I'm not saying I'm the best in the world, but I want to prove that I feel that I can be, and I am. So prove that I'm, you know, let them prove I'm wrong. But, you know, that's what you've got to do. I mean, you've got to show willing to fight whoever. I think, you know, the likes to Terry Harper's done that, hasn't she? And she's gone and obviously defended her belt against a couple of people. She's going to do it again and then go and unify. So the likes of Savannah Marshall, she's gone and got a world title, and now she's quite happy to go and box Clarissa Shields, which, you know, it just, that's what you've got to do, haven't you, to prove that you are the best in the world. So I just hope that can happen for me. I can't wait. You know, the one thing that did bug me from the whole Ebanie Bridges on Twitter thing, people were like, you're not even a bantamweight, you're a flyweight, blah, blah, blah. Well, do you know where I started in my boxing game? I was featherweight. As an amateur, I won European silver and world bronze at featherweight. I stopped a lot of girls. I was at my strongest at featherweight, but unfortunately, back then, that wasn't an Olympic weight, so I had to drop down to flyweight to get on the GB squad. Otherwise, I would never have boxed at that weight. And the only reason why I then continued to box at that weight in the pro game was to get that fight with Nicola Adams. But once again, that fight never occurred. So after having complications of not being able to possibly have a family because of the weight making, I was like, what am I doing? You know, I've boxed at featherweight, so I'm just going to be quite comfortable, natural weight, nice and strong at bantam, super bantam. So can't wait.
People should have done their research before messing with you there.
Yeah, exactly. You know, do you know what I mean? It's like when they're saying, "Oh, you're only a flyweight," or "She's small and weak." I'm small and weak.
I saw that small and weak comment. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just thinking she doesn't know anything about me then, because if you speak to anybody, the last thing they'll say about me is, yeah, I'm small, I'm 5'2". I think she's 5'1". I don't know. Do you know what I mean? The last thing I am is weak. Do Do you know what I mean? I'm not one of those runaway boxers. I will fight and I'll hurt you. So I can't wait if that fight ever happened. But to be fair, I don't think she's ever going to achieve anything. So she's not probably going to be in my, she's not going to be in my line of fire, if you'd say, because I want a world title. She ain't going to beat them girls, whoever wins it, because she's a nobody. She's just a showboater.